How y'all doing, my good black people? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? My name is Alexander Smith, and I am who we like to call representer of MAAT, and I bring forth what we like to call advancements for the culture and the way we understand consciousness and the way we understand life, the universal, solar, planet, and planetary existence, right? I bring forth a couple of things which I'm going to be expressing inside of this video, right? Because what we need to understand, right? We call ourselves melanated guys, right? We are melanated guys because we are energy and matter which expresses itself through elements, right? Which means we are just lower forms of the godly forms above us, which is the universe, sun, and the earth. How is that so? Males will be looked at as a sun, the outputting energetic outputting energy, and planets would be the inputting energy, right? And the universe is the universe. It is what creates everything else, right? And we all use the same equation, which is also what makes us another form, a lower form of energy and matter expressing itself from universal understandings as well, because we use the same equation to create on top inside of this third dimensional construct. We all use the same equation. Here's where I come into play, though. I come into play because this was already an understood known fact, right? Was that consciousness creates not consciousness creates, but the universe creates, the sun creates, and the earth creates, right? So we are creators as well. We're just lower forms, and we do it in our way, which makes us what? Lower forms of energy and matter expressing itself. Now, what I do is I give consciousness and I give consciousness and willpower, which is the equation of creating a third dimensional understanding through the table of elements, which gives us an understanding for the table of elements in general, right? Now, let me show you how that is explained. First and foremost, consciousness is what we use inside of our minds, right? Consciousness is inside of our minds, which creates thoughts, right? This is how we understand it spiritually. But from a scientific standpoint, consciousness creates thoughts, which is electricity, right? It is electricity, which is the neurons being sent through neurotransmitters inside of your brain, going back and forth, being able to give you thoughts and imagination, right? And this is how it works. The equation is you create the goals that you have to achieve, which is, the meaning of life, right? The meaning of life is creating a goal and then willing that goal into this existence, right? Depending on what it is. The goal, having a universal connection, is how you reach ascension and get to the top with the ancestors. Correct. So consciousness and willpower, this is how we use it. We use consciousness inside of our mind, which is what I just explained, and it has a physical representation of electricity, right? Thoughts has a physical representation of electricity, and it is created from consciousness, right? Here's the equation: consciousness, thoughts, electricity. And electricity is what thoughts are in its physical representation, right? This is the part of the equation which has not been figured out yet. Is that the fact that we have consciousness? You have consciousness, which is here, and then you have thoughts right here. And then you just have the physical representation of thoughts, which is electricity, right? And then you have willpower, which is what we use from our hearts, being able to will something into its existence, thus giving you the goal that you create, and then so on and so forth. And you keep doing that same process over and over again. This is the same process that is used in total, in all, right? Here's where I come in play: is I gave it the physical representation. I put that element up there, which gives us planetary and solar and universal existences way of using this same equation to be creators. I figured out how it works, and it starts with the table of elements. Let me go on and give it to you real quick. I'm running out of time. Phone's dying. Here we go. So first, it starts off. Let's look at the table of elements first and foremost. The table of elements starts off with hydrogen, bam, hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen and helium. These are the first two things, the first two elements, right? The first two elements, which are the first two things of creation, correct? Let me show you how what this means to us and what this means to what I just said. Remember I told you it didn't have we don't have that physical representation of consciousness, right? We just have consciousness, thoughts, and thoughts has a physical representation of electricity. Now, if consciousness creates thoughts, which is electricity, let's go ahead and figure out what generates electricity. What creates electricity here? And what creates electricity? Hydrogen. Hydrogen can be used in fuel cells to generate electricity. What does it mean to generate something here, people? Generate, definition. What does it mean to generate something? To generate something means to cause something, especially an emotion or situation, to arise or come about. To produce, which means what? Hydrogen literally is the physical representation of consciousness, people. Why? From using MAAT's equation of giving it its physical representation, its third dimensional representation and understanding. This is how you do it here, right? So we figured that one out. Remember how I told you had consciousness first, you had thoughts right here, right under it, and then you got boom, empty space, because consciousness doesn't have a physical representation. You just have consciousness, right? But you have electricity down here. So what I did was I just figured out what generates electricity, which gives us our third dimensional understanding of consciousness, which is how the universe creates the goal, right? The universe is consciousness. That is what hydrogen is. Consciousness, people. Consciousness, which is why it's inside of your mind, which is why we are made of consciousness, right? We are made of, our mind is. This is how we create thoughts. Without consciousness, there is no thoughts. And without thoughts, there is no electricity. And without without hydrogen, there is no electricity. So now what? Okay, that's one. Boom. Now let's go into helium. Let's go into helium, because that is the other one that makes total sense. And here's another part, which is kind of sad, because I had this all figured out months ago, right? But because I have such a big name, and I go against the system, and I challenge the system's entire way of expressing knowledge, because of Western psychology being completely false. Not completely false, but getting things wrong. Things changed. When you look up where helium is used, it doesn't give you what gave me my answer before. It gives you a bunch of BS. It says helium is used as an inert gas atmosphere for welding metals such as aluminum, rocket propulsion, in meteorology. Let's see, 3 more. It's made for blimps, research balloons, balloons for celebrations, wind tunnels, supersonic wind tunnels, yada yada, whoop de whoop, right? It has nothing to do with magnets. But inside of my phone, when I first did this months ago, the first thing you look up is what is helium used for, and one of the first things that pop up is MRI magnets. And I have this definition inside of my phone still, which is tell you guys about it. Because if I was to just look this up on the internet now without me screenshotting this information before, it would make me look like I'm crazy, because information was changed through Google. I wonder why. Maybe because we challenge everything that goes around inside of this matrix, aka the United States, aka fucking schools, freaking churches, religion, all kinds of stuff. So it is used in MRI magnets, right? And what MRI magnets do is literally organize the cells inside of your body. It maneuvers the cells inside of your body to be in a certain fashion, and then it takes a picture of it for you to be able to see it. MRI magnets do that, and helium is inside of MRI magnets. So what does that mean? Helium does what? If it's organizing the cells inside of you, it's maneuvering it, and it's inside of a magnet, and it's from MRIs, and it's MRI, which is what? Let's see what an MRI is. Because I actually have this inside of my phone, so I'll just show you it once I'm done. Well, while I'm talking here. MRI meaning. MRI's meaning is the magnetic resonance imaging, right? Magnetic resonance imaging. So what does that mean from a technical standpoint? Once you put the two and two together, that hydrogen is the physical representation or third dimensional representation used from solar, planetary, and universal existences as consciousness. And helium is magnetism in solar, planetary, and universal existence. Yes. And that is the first two things which is used to create everything around you, right? The first two things. It's a reason why they were the first two things on the table elements, right? They got some stuff right, but we also have to figure out who's behind the shadows and what gave us this and what gave us that. Because I can also go into detail about what's behind the scenes as well, and what information do they really know, and what not just what they give you inside of these schools and stuff to keep you dumbed down. You get what I'm saying? That's where I come into play. Here, Mr. Keeper of the Sacred Knowledge, the owl. So what was I just about to do? Oh, let's go back to the table of elements. Because, no, not the table of elements. Actually, we're going to go into planets. What are planets? Oh, let's do this. What is the universe made of? What are the two most abundant things in the universe? What is the universe made of? Because I gave you the understanding of hydrogen with being consciousness, which is what creates the gold, and helium being magnetism, which is what willing the gold in is, right? Now, let's look at these two elements and how they are, how abundant they are in planetary, solar, universal existences. So first and foremost, when you look up the elements in the universe, you know you have dark matter, you have all these other things, love, inside of the universe, right? But the two most abundant elements, which it says right here, together, helium and hydrogen make up 99.9% of known matter in the universe, according to Encyclopedia. The two most abundant things inside of the universe is hydrogen and helium, which make up 99.9%, right? Which means what? The universe is literally consciousness and willpower. That is what it is. Those elements are what is used to create what? Planets. To create planets. To create what? Suns, moons, and every other element and every other thing of existence known to man. This is how you figure it out. And I figured that part out. And once you understand this to be real, then you go deeper and you can figure out what the real meanings of each element is. With the real meanings of it when it's expanded, what it can do. And you learn this from my yacht, and I'm the one who exploits that. You don't know what can come about from this understanding and bring this real understanding to the people here. You don't know what comes about. So helium and hydrogen are the two most abundant elements in the universe. Then you have the earth, right? I mean, then you have planets. Let's see what planets are made of. Hold on. I'm cooking here. I'm back and forth. Well, not no more, actually. I'm gonna get my pancakes. You know what I'm saying? But hey, kids, don't be like me. My diet is not that great for me being my yacht and me being the leader that I am. It's not that great. Do not follow this part of my life, please. I have a lot to offer, but my diet can be much, much better. I will say that. So this is one thing that people like Pharaoh, the GOAT, who taught me everything that I know. I learned everything that I know from Pharoah Aten University. I took Pharoah Aten University a couple of years back, and then I just took off from there, learning my own, doing my own type of thinking, my own type of creating as far as knowledge, and getting it together in that manner. So all claps to Young Pharoah, and I need everybody, to get this man's attention for me to be able to get this across to this man, so he can go in a much deeper fashion. Because then, what else has third dimensional representations, and what can it do for the people? That's all I'm gonna say. But planetary. Let's talk about planets. What are planets made of? What is, I'm gonna just look at one. What is Jupiter made of? What is Jupiter made of? What is Jupiter made of? The composition of Jupiter is similar to that of the sun. Mostly hydrogen and helium. Which means what? Which means what? The planet is what? Consciousness, which is consciousness and magnetism in a third dimensional form. That's all these planets are. And then you figure out that this is just majority of planets in general that haven't reached a certain level of ascension, which we would like to call where Earth is. This is why Earth is a special planet. Earth is a special planet because it was able to reach an ascensional state to where it can have so many different elements at one time and then create life. Hello, this is the ascensional process, and Earth has gotten to that part, just like how we do it. Just like how we do it. Earth has got there, which is how it works. And the sun is the same thing, made of mostly hydrogen and helium, which is, and what is the Earth to us, and what is the sun to us? Our gods here. This is how they created hydrogen and helium. This is how they did it. This is how everything is created, people, right here. And it gets deeper the farther you go into the elements with this same understanding. And I can exploit that and create stuff, is all I'm gonna say. I can create stuff. So if you can just if I can get as many people as I can to get across to MAAT, people in MAAT all over, but most importantly, I need to get to Pharaoh. I need to get to Young Pharoah. These videos have to reach Young Pharoah in order for me to be able to express this in front of everybody. And then we can go deeper on the how much deeper can this equation get us, and what can it do for us as the people for the rest of the elements. And that's all I'm gonna say. I appreciate y'all time, and yes, I just need as many people as possible to get in contact with this man so we can make something happen and make something shake, because this elevates consciousness. And I have much more. I have more that I'm not gonna say because no, not yet. You gotta pay me. You gotta pay me. I'm a genius. I came up with something that elevates the game in general, quick and easy. So let's get into it, all right? Let's get into it. And I appreciate Young Pharoah for everything that he's done for me as far as learning from this man and learning from Aten University in the first place. So let's do it.